sure that we'd be able to tell us who owns it.
Yeah.
And I think it's got a few directors of LCDA Enterprises.
Oh, right, so...
We could actually look it up.
we could do.
Go to Company's House.
Is it? Yes. Yeah, because it's the old chair, isn't it? I mean, obviously they wouldn't have had it if it was for the subscription money. Although £12 was tax deductible or something. I remember the chat used to be on free, so it only cost me £3 or something. It was like 15 quid or whatever it was. I never joined the LTDA. I mean, it was like a default setting when you done it.
LTDA Enterprises.
I've done it like 20 odd years ago.
Has a list of officers.
9 officers.
Four resignations, so 5 are still current. So the top one is David John Sparks.
Okay.
Who I believe is the accountant, isn't he?
He's a secretary.
Yeah, he's down as being the secretary. Mr. Paul Brennan.
That name rings a bell.
Yeah, Mr. Paul Brennan. He's down as a director. Mr. Richard Massett.
I'm not going to say. It was. Wow. That's a name from the past, isn't it? Really, really, really long time ago.
Yeah, he was.
Is he still about? That's what.
He was only appointed on the 1st of February 2018.
You were telling me he was born in 1950?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Massett.
79 years old.
You looked at 71 years for the last 20 years, haven't you?
Yeah. Mr. Paul Brennan was appointed on the 1st of February 2018 as well. Mr. Stephen Thomas McNamara.
Stephen with an E.
Yep. He was appointed on the 7th of March 2012.
He's from 1960. So he's 62. Well, so he's the youngest blood there then, I take it. How old was Brennan?
Brennan was born on 68.
He's very young.
Yeah, he's 53.
Yeah.
And the other one is Mr. Anthony Street.
I do remember.
He was appointed on 1st of February 2018 as well.
He's a young blood as well, isn't he? What was he, 57 or 67?
Mr. Roddy resigned on the 1st of January 2018.
Oh, right, so he's gone.
Yeah. And so is John Thomas, he resigned 31st of December 2017.
Yeah.
And Mr. Jeff Cayley resigned on the 18th of November 2002.
Yeah, I liked him in later life. Yeah, I mean, I thought he was...
So there you go, that's
charges on the properties,
legal charge by the Royal Bank of Scotland and debenture by the Royal Bank of Scotland.
Oh, right, so they've got a clearance or something.
Yeah.
Oh, right, so... Well, what can we say about that? So that's enterprises, that's not the LTD...
It's not the LTDA.
So that's enterprise, isn't it? So that's a different company number.
Yeah. The LTDA
Limited
is probably down as the...
Or is it a whole umbrella? I know we're sort of like doing forensic like thing on this. It's only because it's come up. I mean, it's not like...
It's down to the Registered Society.
Yeah, oh, well, there you go. No, right, so that's a society. So the society has accumulated and amassed the money, which the building, which buildings, I suppose. Airport licence taxes limited.
Yeah, that's when.
Was that part of their umbrella?
No, that's not part of it.
I was going to say, I mean, that's... Because they had obviously... LTDA had a time with Comcab at one time as well.
Funny thing is, if you go to there is Licensed Taxi Drivers Association, registered on the 4th of July 1975, and they moved to a new property that they're calling Taxi House at 133 Great Suffolk Street on the 7th of April 2021. Yeah, I thought they moved before that.
Or maybe just that's when we got out doing filling the paperwork out with the Financial Conduct Authority.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show, doesn't it? Where your subs go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
A bit of property, a nice, you know, hey, but listen, you don't mind paying subs if they're doing what they're saying they're doing. But I hate to say, well, I'm not hating to say it, I'm saying, I think the LTDA used to have quite a lot of punch years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and with the emergency with the mayor.
The emergency or emergency?
No, emergency with mayor.
Yeah.
Emergency with mayor. Where the LTDA was given a seat at the taxi board.
It was on TfL's transport board, wasn't it? Yeah, something.
Where
it wasn't a taxi board, that was disbanded years ago.
When they talked about taxis, the LTDA had to leave the room.
Yeah. No, they couldn't vote on it. They couldn't vote on anything to do with taxis.
And, obviously.
So it was really a bit of a weird setup there, because you know the bus people couldn't vote on anything to do with buses, but you know Bob he could.
Yeah.
When he knew nothing about buses. But then the bus people could vote on stuff to do with taxis, and they knew nothing about taxis.
Yeah. But then you had people with vested interest in the buses who could vote.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they sort of like lost their bite. Effectively, I think.
What do you think Bob's salary from his TfL position made him sort of less of a position to?
We can only retrospectively look back at where things
I mean, if you look at some of the things when he won TV programmes, he was very vocal and very forthright.
He come across sometimes as really quite arrogant.
Yeah. But he got his point across.
But he got his point across, and no, absolutely.
And he seemed to sort of turn into a damp squid towards the end.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like politicians.
Except for when someone went to see him in his office and he told him, here's the door.
Very famous.
I remember that.
It's well worth it. Man, very good. He didn't know he was being taped. Someone who gets through that.
We've still got all that. We've still got all that saved.
Well, if you want a copy of it, please ask Bob. He's got a copy. He got some copy.
Well, you got sent loads of copies.
Yeah, so that's
anyway, enough LTDA bashing for the
yeah, it's not LTDA bashing. Let's get this straight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's just retrospectively looking at things and how they sort of like.
So today is the local elections all over the country and the London mayoral elections. Now, with the London mayoral elections, we're not going to know who is actually voted in for until Monday. Until Monday, because it goes to the first count. If one opponent, if one candidate gets more than 50% of the votes, then they get elected straight away. Now, we will know that tomorrow if someone's got more than 50% of the votes, I would imagine. If they don't get more than 50% of the votes, it then goes to the second option, your second preference. And the second preference votes get added to the first preference votes. And they get added together, and so that will take time, and we won't get the result from that until Monday, I believe, at the earliest.
So this is the thing, is obviously with the mayor's issue, I think because there's so many independent candidates, I think it's been split the vote.
Yeah.
I mean,
who would you vote for? I mean, I know you're probably not registered, are you? Because you've only recently moved to.
And I could have chased it all up, but you know where I am on the safe Tory seat anyway. So it's going to
so who would you have voted for the mayor?
For the mayor.
See it's along the same lines as the way.
Right. Okay. I mean, I come from a place where, you know, independent politics is the big thing, because you can't trust the big major ones. And the same goes for London as well, really. What the issue, Conservative and Labour, they're really doing it under nationalist politics, but we're really talking about a region. So you sometimes have to have regionality.
So who would you vote for?
Well, based on the person with the most experience in the talk about, obviously. I think you'd have to look at someone who's got the most experience in what they're doing. What we're talking about, the London Marathon, that would be David. So I know that he's conservative, like it's nationalistic. It's but hey, listen, you've got to look at what's better for the people.
Who would be your second choice?
Probably, because it's out of the independence, it would probably Fox.
See, mine would probably be the other way around.
Yeah, no, but as I say,
I would probably pick Fox as first choice and second choice.
Yeah, so we're in the same sort of like. See, I mean, I think where you got independence, independent party, you've got to have them really, and it can be on regional issues. I mean, like obviously Greenwich. This is also controversial because it's coming in, that would be inside the new yield list zone.
Yeah.
So, we've got floating bus stops, we've got people who are going to be using the Blackwall Tunnel who will have to pay. So again, Sharon Kent was the Elevation Capital.
Yeah, she's standing for election as a local council.
Local council for Kibricum Fair, which is where I used to live at one time in the park. And that's just outside. But if I went to the end of the road, I'd be on the South Circuit. If I had to go across the South Circuit and go to the doctors and shops and stuff, I'd be inside it, which is upset. So this is where on borders, funny enough, I know quite a lot about borders, invisible borders, do you know what I mean? And you're in a different state or a different country.
Yeah.
So you've got to have like cohesion, and it's problematic when you get things like, you're going to be charged £12.50 to go there to bring your kids to go to a hospital or a local playing field or swim bowls or something like that. Do you know?
This brings us back to double standards again, because obviously a lot of TfL's buses don't comply.
Well,
and yet they'll be running across. Now it begs the question, they're obviously going to be exempt, aren't they? We've got old O2 plate buses running around Bexley that are going to probably cross the South Circuit.
Well, you've got GPO vans, which are Peugeot Partners 12 plates and stuff like that. I mean, currently they're in the one.
Yeah, but these buses are 10 years older than that.
I know, but what I'm saying is you've got the postman, which, he's not going to be able to pay himself, but I mean, you've got the money which is being paid into an administration, like Quango, like TfL.
Yeah.
What is the money doing? Is it going to clean up the air? They've got big things pumping out oxygen. No, they're just going to use that to subsidise buses.
Yeah.
To pay bus companies.
Yeah. To run bus routes. With 20-year-old buses.
With people who ain't on them.
Yeah. Let's get it right. Yeah. Some of these buses are 20 years old.
Yeah, I know.
And yet we can only keep a taxi on the road now for 12 years.
Absolutely. This is the stupidity of the thing. When you look at it, when you draw attention to it, you just shout it down and give them the greenwash.
Yeah.
We're trying everything, we're doing everything. Well, hang on, you're a company which can lend money, which can do all sorts. I'm an independent trader. Sound like something out of Derek Trotter, don't you?
Yeah. Shot as independent traders.
Trying to, upgrade my vehicle to go to work. But no, it's problematic. I think with the independents, we've got to have independent people, sometimes talking about regional issues, which should be a bit like, I think, obviously, you can't just have a law that says, you can only have one independent, to stop the votes from being split. Because that's what he's going to do. He's going to make it a walk in the park for companies. He's going to walk in through the back door. It's funny enough, that phrase, walk in the park, you can walk in the park, but you take your life in your hands. And it's funny, although I can't actually walk through a park without feeling danger of being attacked and that, which we all do, it's all part and within a big city. The one bloke who can't do it most definitely, who can't walk around without armed guard,
is calm.
He's calm. So
he's the only mayor that's was actually walking around with
bodyguards and armoured vehicles.
Boris just used to cycle.
Absolutely, armoured vehicles. And at a time when we started all this, I mean, there was a lot of flag Boris was getting off, and not running and telling, TfL to suspend drivers' licences and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Unlike Leo Daniels, getting accosted by Slump. Just asked him about policy and he got his badge suspended. You see what I'm saying? Just because, these people, believe in their own mantle too much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Talking of buses.
It always comes down to buses.
Yeah, this brings us on to Bailey's Battle Bus.
Yeah, the polluter bus.
Bailey's Battle Bus, which actually doesn't comply with the low emission zone.
Oh, exactly. And he was paying, I think, £300
a day to bring his bus into the low emission zone.
Then shouting the odds about pollution. Yeah. Your bus is ticking over. Waiting for him to get back to have a cafe latte in there.
Yeah, see, that's where Lawrence Fox was very cute, because he hired an old route master, which is exempt under heritage.
Yeah, so absolutely right.
But it's funny, isn't it? You can get an old bus exempt under heritage regulations, yeah? And yet my old caps that go into London, very rarely to go and do a wedding,
which are heritage,
cost me £27.50 a day to take them in.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where the stupidity, I would call it sometimes. These heritage buses and stuff like that, which according to the Green. I mean, I'm 60, I ain't no bones about that. I grew up with them route masters running up and down the street and everywhere else. Part of fun was jumping on the road and going into polluted London. Even in my school days, I have to pronounce that properly for you.
That's right.
Cathedral School. Used to have Ilya buses, Bedford, sitting there, ticking over, bringing us to the swing baths and the special need bus. And sitting
the old blue ones.
Yeah, exactly. The window vans,
the old GLC buses. Yeah.
Right, ticking away. We were. I mean,
whatever happened to all of them? They all just disappeared.
They all went out.
Because I think the local boroughs took them over, didn't they?
Yeah. All these vehicles pumping out diesel. At our school, obviously we had oil burners, coal, sitting outside in the playground. It used to be like
central heating front of oil, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was but outside the class, we had prefab classrooms and stuff like that. Like 40 in a class, and they had an ascot doing the central heating. It used to be like a caged vent outside, which was pumping out warm air, which we know is polluted with CO2. So like you mentioned, your boiler kicking up and all the time, and we'd huddle around that for warmth. So we were breathing all that in, and all that, and, drinking out of those pipes and stuff like that. So I defy medical science with me and my generation. And we ain't all, we've had drugs, sex, rock and roll, we've had everything. Date, cars, everything, all polluting, lead in petrol, and we're still here. So when the kids go, oh no, you're killing my lungs and all that, London's never been so clean in all its life. I'm not saying, we had Woolwich Power Station, Deptford Power Station pumping out ventilation, bilge everywhere. So it's a case of it's been hijacked a bit, you take London, you're doing all this lovely green, green zones and all that. There's been half a dozen fires in London. That place down on the River Thames, one end of it, Richmond or wherever it was, the island satellite, burned the boat shit down. Planning permission for them flats to go up. Now that boat shit's out, wooden boat shit's out of the way. In East London, you've had fires, scrap yards, building everything else. So everything's all undone in just one day. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think it's time to go over to Dan from Plan for his contribution this week. And then we'll go back later to see whether his answer to his true or false thing. So, and we'll have one of Chris Wheeler's songs as well after that, and we'll be back after this.
Countdown from plan. Eastern man.
Thanks Jamie, thanks Mac, hi everyone, hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. So today, I'll try and keep it short because no one sent me any questions in. So remember, if you've got any questions or dilemmas, send them in because I'll have a go at that. But today I thought I'd talk about drone insurance or UAV insurance, or sometimes known as unmanned aerial vehicle insurance, if you didn't know what UAV stood for. So you might ask, why am I talking about this? Basically, I've just done a quote for one, so it made me think, well, let's talk about it. We're seeing an increase in inquiries for drone insurance for businesses, especially for surveying firms and construction firms, because they can fly up onto a roof of a building or over vast areas of land quickly and survey it with their high definition cameras, etc. And it's a lot quicker, cheaper than it is employing a scaffolding firm and erecting a scaffold and then getting people up there to survey it. They can now get a drone out, fly around for a bit and get all the pictures and images they need before they go out hiring scaffolding and doing whatever they need to do. So yeah, so drones are becoming quite popular in certain businesses. But I do know that many taxi drivers fly drones. I know that Roche flies one when he's trucking stuff, he's trucking around Europe. And it got me thinking that how many of you guys have got drone insurance? Now, as I mentioned, we sell drone insurance, so if you need it, you can speak to us, but speak to your local broker, go online, whatever you want to do, but if you want to speak to us, you can speak to us. But I would recommend buying it, not just for the drone itself, because you might think, oh, the drone's only 500 quid, if I crash it, I'll fix it, that's fine. But what I recommend buying drone insurance for is the liability aspect. So if you was to crash one of these drones into someone's car or their house, or crash it into a person by accident, and you cause them injuries, or you cause damage to their property, you could be liable for it. So we sell drone insurance not just for the damages of the drone, but also cover your public liability as well. So if you do cause an incident and you're responsible for it, or inadvertently responsible because you lost control of your drone, or the wind caught the drone and it crashed you, or whatever it happened, and you cause damages, then I'd recommend you have it. It's not that expensive. What I do suggest though is if you do want to buy drone insurance, most of the people that sell it or provide it will ask that you've completed a local aviation authority test or registered as a pilot. So in the UK you can do that online when you register as a pilot. So I'd recommend you do that and then look at doing your insurance. The insurance can be bought many ways. I mean, we've got access to a product that we can sell as an annual product, or you can do it on a per basis. So every time you fly, you get charged. It links to an app on your phone that's connected to your drone, etc. So there's different ways of buying it, and it's not that expensive, especially if you just want the liability cover. It becomes more expensive if you want to start covering the drone, and then it depends on how much the drone costs, and etc. etc. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that's interesting to some people. Those of you who are into drones, then you might have found that interesting. Anyway, before I hand you back to Jamie and Matt in the studio, I've got my fact or fiction for you. So this week's fact or fiction is the world record for the loudest thing ever shouted